morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you're watching this. Welcome, everyone. I'm Andreas Julich with Grace Healing, and I have with me Larry Reynolds with Grace Healing. Hey, Larry, how are you doing?
Wonderful. Wonderful to be here.
Good. We continue again with our topic on the 10 great words. And today we're going to touch on thou shalt not steal, as it is in Scripture. And as I was researching it, I found some interesting angles, different type of angles, and we'll see, Larry, what you think about it. But first I saw actually a quote by Pope Francis that he did in a general audience back in 2018, where he described the you shall not steal, the meaning of it. And he says, love with your goods, profit by your means to love as you can. Then your life will become good and the possessions will truly become a gift, because life is not a time for possession, but for giving. So it's very interesting to me when I think about what really stands out for me, because he mentions goods, profit, possession. So it's kind of a material look at things. And, you know, I think there is other ways we possess things, and in the topic of stealing, you know, we can take away from each other things. So that's why possession plays a role. But it's not only material possession in my mind. You know, if I could be robbed by my honor. For example, if I if my boss doesn't if I don't feel I'm honored by my boss for the work that I do, I'm robbed. My honor, I'm not honored for it. Or if my life partner is hurt by, you know, or I'm hurt by my life partner, what he or she says, I feel robbed by my pride.
Yes.
So it seems to me the underlying theme for stealing is about ownership. Not only ownership of material things, but ownership of our pride, honor, creativity, whatever, you know, may be taken away from us. So, and if somebody takes away or challenges our ownership, we create conflict. Look around, we have wars, we have divorce, we have, you know, all sorts of things going on right now, especially. So it's about challenging that ownership. So my question to you, Larry, first to start off with is, and I don't know if you agree with that or if you can shed some light on it, that humans are possessive creatures. I think we're seeking to own for some whatever reason. Why is that? What can we do about it?
Comes from a huge spiritual disconnect in the fact that people have lost touch with the oneness of being with God. Now, God is all of creation. God is all things blessed. And if we remember our connected oneness to God, then we will know all things are one with us and we are one with all things. Therefore, we wouldn't have the need to possess or gain possession over things. We would find that things would just come to us. And this is like, as you get into the instructions around the law of attraction. Now, the movie The Secret was just kind of like a marketing plan to get people in to look at the law of attraction. And this is what the law of attraction really points towards, is the importance of understanding oneness with creation. And then as you move forward, you move to the places where you will be drawn to the nature of possessions and things that are supposed to evidence in your path, in your walk. And they're supposed to evidence in such a way that they come forth to join you in your path. You don't have to reach out and take from somebody or steal from somebody, or in the case that you mentioned, spiritually dishonor somebody. You don't have to put somebody down in order to possess a greater image before another person. And I mean, like in psychology, they call that getting okay on people, is when they see somebody at a higher standing socially to them, they try to put them down thinking that elevates them, but it doesn't. So to possess a higher stance over them, they steal their position within society by lying to it or speaking it down or telling of other, maybe even truths that diminish that level of truth. So it is about stealing or taking or trying to possess or abscond with things. And that is from that place of disconnection, that's from that not knowing oneself fully connected unto God, therefore connected unto all things.
Yeah, and that's it. It's really not easy to understand that. For me, at least, that oneness, and to be aware of that oneness all the time. I'm looking at what's going on, and we're going to look at the great word in a minute. But
Yes.
um, if I'm looking around what's happening right now, for example, with people wanting to dismantle monuments
Mm-hmm.
all around the world, or especially in the US, these monuments are symbols of some kind of a memory or an
Yep.
event or something honorable that somebody did, or maybe dishonorable. It depends what position you're looking at. And I'm not making any political statements here. I'm
Yep.
looking more at the emotional value and the spiritual value may be for us to have those monuments or not to have them. Because isn't it true that we like to hold on to the lessons of the history, and
Mm-hmm.
that we can help to grow through history, and that we just need some kind of a visual reminder for that?
Well, I mean, my walk. I'm not about monuments or images or things of memory. I mean, I'm even horrible about taking pictures of things. And then what happens is I'm usually with other people and I end up taking all the pictures. So I'm not even in the pictures anyway. And then, but I don't have a tendency to like take images of when I was walking or whatever. I'm present in the moment and present within seeking what is the measure of God's breath within this moment? What is his desire for me in this moment? What is her wisdom guiding me through in this moment? So when I see people hanging on to like graven images or whatever, or images of a certain person that was a place within society that actually elevated society, I think that's beautiful. I don't personally resonate with that. But like seeing a statue of, say, Martin Luther King, to be the reminder of the beautiful work that he did, to see a statue of the living Yeshua, living Christ, showing the measure of how he walked the earth in absolute love, and that there was no justification in him for any spiritual war or war in the sense of physical war. So these things are beautiful reminders of those that have walked the path. But I also have to take great care in what are my monuments conveying. It's like, I think Billy Graham mentioned it once when he said, the Crusades. So here it was, the healing crusades. And at one point he realized, oh my God, I have named our Billy Graham Crusades after war. What are my words conveying to those that I feel are seeking healing? I'm attaching them to a time of great upheaval, great darkness, great suffering, great maligning of the truths of God and undermining those things. And I have named Billy Graham Ministries or Billy Graham Crusades the very word that attaches to that memory. So what does that monument become of that word? So am I stealing from somebody the opportunity to seek healing from within this body, Billy Graham Ministries, which it eventually became, by using something of the past as a monument of strife instead of a monument of love? So when we look at what's going on throughout the world, we see people stealing left and right out of fear, stealing left and right out of covetous. They're walking into stores, totally dismantling them, ripping stuff out because they want it, because they don't think they're going to get it later, because they're in fear, and they have not an understanding that they have been governed by God, and that God knows every hair, every fiber of their being, right down to every need every day. If they knew the oneness of God, they would move in such a way that they wouldn't be attracted into these grounds to dismantle, to destroy, to steal, to limit. And then all of a sudden, these people that would be ripping down a monument of, say, a leader say in some countries, they have leaders that were put up by the coup government, and these statues were put up to revere the statue above God. And these represent people that brought nobody but harm, anything but harm. So if we have a people that are discerning in nature, and they look toward a monument, and they see a monument that is a monument of somebody in destruction, are we there to remove it? Or are we there to bring greater clarity as to why that person was even elevated to that practice so people can learn from it? Why was that person placed up on that pedestal? Why were they put in the eyes of another? So am I there to steal that statue and smash it? Or am I here to bring light to the nature of what's really going on? And am I really governed by divinity, knowing I don't need to possess this thing? I don't need to control this thing. I know God within every person that looks upon this statue. And if I bring forth truth and I express the story of what really transpired around this monument, then people will learn, grow, and remember and move back toward the nature of God and away from the destruction of a monument.
It's a huge challenge in these times because a lot of people don't have that discernment. They don't want to have that constructive, discussion.
You're talking about my language. I mean, I have so many people that seek in prayer, but they don't want to spend the time to do the work. They just want, would you do that Yahweh thing? But I've actually had people say those words. Would you do that Yahweh thing you do? And I'm like, talk about using God's name in vain, because they don't even recognize the importance of the very vibrational attributes of God's name in that.
Mm-hmm.
Not, would you just do that Yahweh thing? It's Yahweh, God and Creator, thank you that you position me to reach to one another, to reach into my brother, to reach into my sister, to bring the monument of your glory forth from those that I serve and love. And then I would also find that on the physical level, if we go back to those that are like part of the riots and the different things where they're breaking into stores and stealing things and taking stuff, if they were honestly of a discerning nature, they would have found that they wouldn't have even gone there to be incited in such a way, because they would have ended up in the group that was the rally toward blessing instead of the protest against something. The protesters are the ones that were driving around with truckloads full of bricks and setting them on pallets in the midst of the people when there was no construction going on. What were the bricks for? Because they were individuals trying to force a protest, not support a measure of peace. So the monument becomes the destruction that people lay out there. And then people create a monument around it by videoing it and then supporting it and then pointing it out. And then in all rights, in their mind, defending it. So they're stealing from the truth and presenting a lie as something to be monumental, as something to be elevated. So again, it comes back to what you just said. Are people honestly going to challenge themselves to be truly discerning and measure, is what I'm presenting in alignment with the nature of God or not?
So really what we're talking about is, we are putting the word stealing in a much bigger context.
Oh, yes.
It's not just
about taking that little bauble off a shelf and walking out the door with it.
Exactly. So let's have a look at the great word.
Yes.
Let's see here if I can find it. Share screen. It disappeared on me. 1 second, I'll find it. So, okay, shoot. Well,
I do want to say one other thing, that there's also another care that needs to be taken in the process of how a person judges the situation. It's like we're saying, how are we judging the monuments? What's going on? What are people doing when they're tearing down a monument? We have to take great care to judge. Because if you even look at a child psychologist, they look at a little child, and a child might, quote, steal something from grandma's house. It's not them stealing. They're leaving grandma's and they want to keep a piece of grandma with them. They're not actually stealing it. They're trying to maintain that connected oneness with grandma. And we would immediately name it as, you stole that from grandma's house, instead of how beautiful it is that you would want to keep a piece of grandma with you. So if we're discerning, we're going to even see the nature of the act that may not be theft, but may be evidencing something else if we're willing to look at it that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does to me. I found it. You should see it on the screen now.
Yes, I do. Yep.
So
All right. So I just want to, I'm just going to do both of them here, because in Deuteronomy, it just says, you shall not steal. And again, I believe that this short statement limits you to the reality and the implications of your actions in every relational encounter. And if people are starting to get the theme here from 1 through 10 on these 10 great words, they can be applied to every single relational encounter, every one. So if we read this, instead of you just shall not steal, number 8 is, in me, you will know that I am all things a blessing. That means that God is all things a blessing. In me, you have all things. Therefore, if you are one with God, you are all things and you have all things. You will take nothing, as you will know all things to be in you. You will lack nothing, and you will receive all. That is all that is required within the time of your journey, the place of your walking, if you're just seeking and centering in on the presence of God. You will find that you will abscond, you cannot abscond with anything, as all things will be yours in me. You will be blessed in knowing all things in the form they are to be revealed within me. You will know the power to speak life and blessing unto all things that your brother and your sister possess. And I want to back up for just a moment. You will be blessed in knowing all things in the form that they are to be revealed within me. Just like with the child. If the child took that thing from grandma's house and left because they wanted to keep a piece of grandma with them, in discernment, in connectedness with divine Godhead, Yahweh's presence, the life-giving Abun, living breath within you, you would know that it was not theft. You would know instantly that it is a blessed moment to edify the child, to increase the child, to edify their union with grandma, and to help them return the physical item and deepen them in their connectedness to the spiritual union they hold with grandma. So as we continue on, as you look upon things, you will know that they hold no power over you, and you will not be subject to or controlled by anything within my creation. And that goes back to what you were saying earlier about not being possessed by something or controlled by something to have something, because you will move in such a way that you will recognize blessing. And I think it was when you were talking about Pope Francis, that you will not be controlled by these things or possessed by the nature of these things. And you will find that you can move in a state of the blessing that you are, because you are whole. You are complete. You are the measure of blessing in any situation, because you are one with God. And if you are one with God, you are the very instrument that reveals God's glory in every relational encounter, not desiring to possess from somebody, but knowing that all they possess can be spoken into blessing for them, increased upon them, without you desiring or coveting in any way to take it unto yourself.
It seems to me that we need to focus on monuments. Monument is kind of not a very good word. Memories, I would almost call it memories. Monuments are memories. We need to keep them within ourselves. I think we have lost the respect, of each other to see, oh, maybe this piece of structure has a great meaning for my neighbor, but not for me. But that doesn't mean that I need to attack that person and steal that memory from them.
Let them have it. Let them have the monument.
Yeah.
It's like, you see so much going on in this country right now about the different flags they want to destroy from history, and this one they want to, it's like, well, if they have a possession on that, I would ask them to clarify for me their understanding. because I see many of them aren't attached to the things the other people hate about those images. They have certain things that they see that are elevated because they value the attributes and values that monument can represent if the negative one is taken away from it. So they found their way into it, removed the negatives from it, and elevated the blessed aspects of it. I'm not going to steal that from them. However, if I do see somebody celebrating the negatives of a monument, I would spend time with them, listen, and hear why they're motivated by that. And as I would do, I would sit just as Yeshua did, sit upon the stone and scroll into the sand the name of each spiritual thing they revealed to me. If they are in aggression, hostility, racism, division, isolation, whatever they're evidencing by worshiping that monument, I would be blessed in the opportunity to sit with them, listen, and understand the nature, because I'm not going to steal their monument. I'm listening for where their heart is. And if I see that their heart is influenced by the spiritual realm, by division, by racism, by these things, I pray for them. I pray freedom and release from the captives that would cause them to be racist. The spiritual unforgiveness, the desire to possess another human. These are the things that I would scroll into the sand and then swipe away like Yeshua did when they wanted to stone that woman. It's a spiritual practice to look through the situation to say, what are they revealing to me? And even as Yeshua said, receive all things in blessing. And if we want to take that word all, we have to receive the word all as in capital A, capital L, capital L. All things in blessing. So even if somebody's doing something that kind of rankles you a bit or shakes you up a little bit, look at it and go, okay, what is it stirring in me? Now I release that, and then I look to them and see what are they stirring in themselves that does not align with God, and I pray release for them to elevate them.
It's absolutely fascinating. You know, I had this last question I wanted to ask you, but I don't have to ask it because I just got the answer. It's more like, so how do you deal with situations like this? And how you deal with it is not so much what you say to the other person.
Right.
But it's taking it in, praying about it, thinking about it like you described it so beautifully, and it will be solved. So, and I think we are
lost sight of the fact that the work is not just us sharing. The work is you and I praying even before we come on here. The work is, as you're asking me a question, I'm sitting here in prayer, listening and discerning so that God would bring forth the design of words that God intends, not what Larry might want to bring forth. The prayer is the work. That's what people completely miss. Oh, I'll pray about it. And then they go do something. And then come back to the prayer that they were going to do. Instead of praying and living the unceasing awareness of prayer like we were discussing last week, the unceasing awareness of prayer is a constant revelation that we are in a constant state of living Abun, the life-giving breath within us. And then we enter into a fervent state of prayer on matters that of need, like this individual evidencing that they have hatred within them, or this individual has racism within them. We pray to elevate them into greater wisdom, clarity, and freedom from the spiritual influence of racism, judgment, whatever it happens to be. We pray freedom and release, and we do the spiritual work while we observe them and watch them shift and change.
That is the mission here at Grace Healing, that we are just a conduit. We are here, we pray, we do our spiritual work with you. And I just would like to say to everyone listening, go to gracehealing.org, go to gracehealing.video, which is our YouTube channel, and go through some of these videos and listen to them. Even if you don't listen to the whole interview or video, I do that quite often myself, and I find out new truths, new ideas, new thoughts that I didn't hear the first time. So I encourage you all to do that. And also, please share with us your thoughts. Yes. We can have a conversation right here on YouTube or Facebook underneath this video. So we would very much welcome that.
And I would also mention that the website also connects them to a huge resource. It's a resource of many videos, but it also gives them access to how to connect with us individually, how to connect with us as a group on different calls. So it really is a resource for people to walk out their spiritual journey, whether they're in a Catholic or a Christian or Buddhist or Taoist, whatever form of practice they be using. Grace Healing, we are here to help elevate people within their abilities to walk side by side, to evidence the things of blessing through our Creator. And that's what we're here to do, is walk side by side, whatever a person's belief is. We're not here to take people away from their belief. We're to help people increase in their ability to function more effectively within their place of practice or worship.
Perfect. I love our conversations, Larry, and I hope you viewers, you enjoy it too. We'll get together again next week, right, Larry?
Yes. Wonderful.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you all. We love you all.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.